This paper discusses the virtual process between the author and his students to incorporate Google Streetview go-alongs into an online course during the COVID-19 lockdown. It clarifies the methodology to organize the virtual walks and their utility for ethnographic seeing. The task is focused on sharing a landscape of dwindling value, so students will be asked to take a class partner on a virtual tour of a place where they feel value has dwindled. The partner is going to treat it as a walking interview. Taking Langdon Winter's paper, Do Artifacts Have Politics, as a model inquiry, this project was inspired by the work and discourse of different academics of urban landscapes, including, amongst others, urban ethnographer Jerome Crace, relating to his concept of ethnographic seeing, social philosopher Marshall McLuhan, who argued for the city as classroom, and economist Israel Kirzner, who advocated for discovery and awareness of disequilibrium in socioeconomic spaces. Invoking a Kirznerian definition of entrepreneurial mindset as awareness and discovery of disequilibrium in local socioeconomic environments, this online classroom project sought to deepen students' virtual ethnographic seeing of local urban landscapes by employing Google Streetview go-alongs to illuminate politics in landscapes. In discussions and a final paper, students articulate disequilibrium in the structural relations that shape the Google Streetview examples they have virtually explored, and also those structuring their own virtual encounters with fellow online course mates as interviewees. With this exploratory approach, we are highlighting the way that technoscapes of value are deliberately capacious. They include farmland and country roads, as well as gentrifying neighborhoods and city streets. Student projects illustrate the urban conditions depicted by Kirznerian awareness and discovery that resonate with Crace's notion of ethnographic seeing and Winter's notion of politics in artifacts. Students were encouraged to see in new and more critical ways how human actions solidify into institutions that melt into the background of people's lives. Students posed questions that might help them learn about these things, particularly on the ways in which politics are aspects of the students' interviewee experiences. Paramount to the realization of this aim is emphasis upon the classical liberal attribute of the ideal entrepreneur, discovery. Within a field setting of varied economic opportunities circumscribed by post-pandemic technoculture. Students took each other on virtual street walks via Google Streetview, a term for a virtual version of a walking interview using Google Streetview technology. This street or road can be anywhere in the world, but it must be in a place the student actually interacted with and is preferably well familiar. Students did this in pairs, taking turns conducting a virtual walk and being the interviewer. Since the university does not have a contract with Zoom, Microsoft Teams was the best application for this task. Without added cost, students began their own meeting in our Teams, shared their screen, and recorded the meeting. Students reported on their collaborative ethnographic research, shared lingering questions or observations, and put forth conversational insights to virtual classroom discussions. For class field reports, students used Panopto assignments. Students created their own Panopto recording and recorded their computer screen display of Google Streetview. The student recordings went into their own Panopto folder, and students were able to review each other's. The objective was that by the end of the semester, students will have at least demonstrated deeper ethnographic seeing through awareness and discovery of disequilibrium in virtual field reports of unfamiliar landscapes. Outcomes for students in this project included: 1. Each student will become familiar with ethnographic seeing. 2. Each student will gain an appreciation for the complexity of this concept. And 3. Each student will gain some basic fieldwork knowledge about the development of awareness and discovery of disequilibrium in landscapes. The first of two methods used to determine the effectiveness of the project as a new experience within the existing online course titled Technology and Human Values was concept reflection papers. Each online student wrote two-page reflections on an aspect or idea or goal of politics and landscapes. The second method was the fieldwork report to the class. This task consisted of a written discussion thread presentation by each student to the online class through Brightspace. It asked, what non-monetary values are revealed through people's relationships to diverse technoscapes? And what unexpected technoscapes do people interface with in their efforts to generate, capture, or exchange value? The rules and procedures set by standard-setting bodies become embodied into physical and digital entities of the institutional bedrock. By using the virtual lens of ethnographic seeing to explore technoscapes and places, students interrogated how such processes and the generative tensions between them have played out differently in parts of the landscape. What contexts best exemplify or complicate these general dynamics? Who stands to benefit and who bears the cost? Many processes, including agriculture, localization, protectionism, commodification, and enclosure, are inescapably place-based. By using the lens of ethnographic seeing in conjunction with ethnographic awareness to explore technoscapes and places, students interrogated how such processes and the generative tensions between them have played out differently in students' parts of the world. Separately, students reflected on the experience. What was interesting to the student? Did a student learn anything about her or his values or the values of their course mate? Students' write-ups and analyses were between 3 and 5 pages of writing, including screenshots, diagrams, and sketches. Factual descriptions of things the students saw, heard, felt, etc. were also recorded. This meant rather than saying the street was unpleasant, the student described the aspects of the landscape that lent it a feeling of unpleasantness. Students were instructed to be aware of their researcher personal responses and to note those. In sharing views of politics and landscapes rooted in classical entrepreneurial thought, students widened a Kersnerian definition of entrepreneurial mindset as awareness and discovery of disequilibrium in local socioeconomic environments to include anyone who simply spies opportunities for helping others. This paper suggests that projects such as this can make a modest contribution to virtual classroom efforts to ethnographically heighten the promotion of seeing politics in landscapes.